Good evening, race fans, and welcome to round number 3 of the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series Season 4, presented to you by Ecency.com. We are here today at Watkins Glen for the Finger Lakes Grand Prix. My name is Mason Heimbaugh, here with Team Goon Squad, bringing you the action in 1080p, 60 frames a second. I hope you all are ready and excited for the 54 laps that we are going to be doing here today for round 3. Folks, we are here at a road course for the Alpha Series, and I gotta say, I'm excited, and I hope that everyone else here is as well, including the drivers, as they prepare themselves to start their qualifying. You can already see in the background drivers beginning to do so, making their way out onto the track for today's race, getting themselves ready to place themselves on the grid for the start of this race here today. And I gotta say, watching these guys just a little bit in practice, getting themselves warmed up for round number 3 here today, and it looks like today is going to be a very fast-paced race for these guys here today. And given that I've taken some time myself to come here in the Alpha IR-18 here on Watkins Glen earlier today before the start of this race, to kind of get a feel and understanding of how these cars drive on this track and how they handle, how they perform. And I gotta say, we are going to see some very fast-paced action from these cars here today and from these drivers, and hopefully we will see a lot of clean racing from these drivers here tonight. And as drivers get themselves started here for today, as we look right now with Chad Simpson in the number 42 machine as he begins to start his first timed lap of today. You can see the rest of the field as well also making their way behind him. Darren Gangi right behind him in the number 11 machine, also trailing behind the 42 as they work their way down the back stretch, where normally we are running the boot here, but this is the classic boot. So right now they are running past what is called the inner loop. So we are going to run right past that, rolling right into this nice smooth right-hander. And the section that we're approaching right now, I have a feeling is where drivers are going to really try and push their speed. They want to be as fast as possible, and that's a section that can be a little deceiving. If you are going just a little bit too fast, you're not going to have enough grip to keep your car where you want it to be. You're going to end up sliding off the track into the grass and ultimately finding yourself in a bad situation that you don't ultimately want to be in. As drivers continue to make their way around the track here tonight, Dale Weiser in the number 24 machine. Dale Weiser, excuse me. Going to be working his way now down the backstretch here now as well, passing the inner loop as well. No one has completed their first timed lap for, actually, right as I say that, Butch Davis in the 43, now Jake Walsh. Slowly, drivers starting to come across that checkered line. Looking here at Darren Gangi. Apologies again if I am getting that incorrect here, but Gangi, excuse me, Darren Gangi in the number 11 as he comes down the final stretch across the checkered line. It's going to place him, drum roll please, in 5th on the starting grid. A great start for that number 11 here today as he goes wide onto turn 1 as he comes into the S's here. And this is a section that I, as a driver, thoroughly enjoy. These cars very stable going through these sections here. But even as I say that, once you are racing next to another driver, have someone else pushing aggressively behind you, that story might change going forward into this race. Now, I would like to also take a quick moment before we get started here to take a quick look at last week's race results. If you were here, or if you were not here, excuse me, for the Music City 175 at Nashville Super Speedway, you would have saw Nate Siefker take away the win. Kieran Bergelli taking home 2nd place, and Butch Davis rounding out 3rd for last week's race. Just looking at the field here currently, everyone looking to be a little not too consistent with one another. And now if we check back in with our times here, Jake Walsh currently holding, provisional pole. Darren Ganji gets into the wall, coming down the front stretch. That's not going to be good for that number 11 machine. But Jake Walsh, as we were mentioning, setting off the fastest time here today with a 126.98, with Chad Simpson just behind him with 0.21 just behind that time. So we're going to see a lot of different paces that these guys are going to be setting here tonight for this race, and that's just a given. Coming to a road course from an oval, some guys handle it better than others, some guys worse. Road courses are not always everyone's friend. Some guys prefer to race ovals, some guys prefer to race road courses. It's there's very rarely drivers that well, I don't want to say very rarely, but you'll often see a lot of times, even in real life racing, where some drivers definitely prefer to stay out on the oval courses. They don't perform nearly as well coming into roads. And that's not to say that, throwing right-hand turns into the mix kind of throws them out of the loop. That's not necessarily true, but it definitely does help when you have road course experience behind you to back that up and to help you move forward through a series such as this one here today. But Jake Walsh, absolutely doing a great job here, staying out on top of the leader of the pole here today. And as I say that, Chris Walker just squeaking by Jake Walsh in the number 23 machine. Gonna take it across the line with a 126.90. That 23 machine gonna start out on the front of the starting grid here today with only 3 minutes left in qualifying here as well, and only a handful of drivers that have not made their way out onto track here today already. I'm expecting to see that this grid is not gonna shake up here too much more than what we've seen already. The only other driver that I can see here that is going to be completing their second lap is going to be Bentley Glazer in the number 4 machine, currently in 8th place on the grid as it stands with only 2 minutes 30 to go as he comes across the line. This is his final time officially to place a time here today. And as I say that, Nate Siefker going to be coming across the line, taking that first place starting position with a 126.59 and doing it quite well here. Chris Walker just behind that, just over a quarter of a second behind that time here. So we'll see if any of these drivers here are able to top that before the end of qualifying is over here today. Just under 2 minutes left here in this qualifying, and right now Nate Siefker is our current leader on the pole. Chad Simpson going to be in 4th place currently in that number 42 machine. We saw him starting out earlier, and it seemed he had quite the promising start, and still in 4th on the grid as it stands. So looks like Chad Simpson is looking to have an excellent race for himself here today as well. Jeffrey Bogan in the number 3 machine, going to be placing himself in 6th place currently. Just to give you guys an idea of where everyone is placing themselves on the qualifying grid as it stands currently. And right after qualifying is over, we are going to go into a 5-minute warm-up. And that'll give drivers another opportunity, a very short opportunity, to get some final laps in, or lap, I should say, before the race officially begins. Get the kinks worked out, if any at all, or just have another chance to take it around the track here before we go green. With only 30 seconds left to go here, Nate Siefker, Chris Walker, and Jake Walsh going to be your top 3 drivers here starting out on the front of the starting grid here today. And as drivers complete their qualifying and we get ready. Oh, and right as I say that, Butch Davis, Chad Simpson take first and second. As we get ready to wrap up our qualifying here, folks, we are going to take a very quick commercial break from our series sponsor, Ecency.com, and we will be right back for the action here for round number 3 of the of this Sim Racer's Edge Alpha Series Season 4. We will be right back, folks. Stay tuned for more iRacing here on Team Goon Squad.
Ecency, okay. Ecency, it's great. I'm having a blast driving around. Yeah, that was a fast lap.
Hey, Jeff.
Yeah?
What are you doing, man?
I'm just writing a quick post to the Need for Speed community on Ecency.
A what for who community?
The Need for Speed community. It's the community on Hive that's all about racing.
How do I get into this?
Just go to Ecency.com, sign up for an account, and download the app.
Dude, that's really cool. But now you gotta go.
Yeah, I'm on there every day.
No. I mean, go, man. Go.
Okay, let's go.
All right, folks, you just saw an original promotion created by volunteers from the Need for Speed community on Ecency.com. Well, fans, there is a contest currently underway asking you to submit an original script for a 30-second IndyCar video to promote Ecency. The top 3 scripts will win Hive, which is the cryptocurrency that powers Ecency. Winners may also have their scripts used for a video in an upcoming SRE race. Look for a link to all SRE posts on Ecency in the comments below. There you will find a post with all the contest details. Enter before February 22nd to win. And again, folks, that was an advertisement brought to you by Ecency.com, the lovely volunteers from the Need for Speed community there on Ecency. Now, as we wrap up our open qualifying here and get things going into our warm-up here, it looks like things going into a bit of an overtime here. There we go. All right, so that's going to give us a 5-minute opportunity for drivers to give themselves a chance to get back out on track here, take a couple laps around Watkins Glen here before the flag drops and we go green for the first opening lap of round number 3 of the Sim Racer's Edge Alpha Series Season number 4, presented by Ecency.com. And again, if you're just tuning in, I would love to welcome everyone for joining us. And I hope everyone is excited here for some excellent road racing that we are going to see here from these drivers. The last 2 races that we have seen have both been ovals, so this is the first road course on the schedule. Last week we were at Nashville Speedway. Getting my names mixed up here. In the chat, loving the Ecency commercials. I, myself, love the work that the community has put in to put these together. Love to see them. They're always great. It's always great to see the community come together and really try and promote the racing community, as it's always a great way to bring people together and share their passion about the sport. As we're looking right now at Chad Simpson ripping around the track here today with only 3.5 minutes left here in our warm-up. I gotta say, folks, predictions for today. Now, I want to take a moment to check back in with our results from last race here as well. Again, we were at the Music City 175 last week in Nashville Superspeedway. And this was race number 2 of the season, and Nate Siefker able to take away the win for that race with the fastest lap as well, and also the most laps led. Now, if I was a betting man, Nate Siefker, given that we've seen the performance that Nate has done here already, will he be able to take home a win coming into a road course such as Watkins? Well, that is a good question. And I think it's going to ultimately depend on how consistent Nate is going to be able to stay throughout this race. Now, Kieran Bergelli, on the other hand, is another driver who managed to place second in last week's race. Now, coming into this week, it looks like, and it actually, Kieran's not actually in this race here today, so we won't see Kieran Bergelli here tonight for round number 3, as it would appear. But Butch Davis, on the other hand, who took home third, is here tonight in the number 43 machine. Now, looking at practice, looking at qualifying, Butch Davis does seem like he has something in the bag here. Looks like he is ready for tonight. Uncle Bonehead in chat, I think 43 is going to dominate this year. He had great finishes so far. And I have to agree with that comment here already. Butch Davis, again, taking home third place for round number 2. Coming into tonight and placing well in qualifying. These are all going to help that number 43 machine in this race. Now, how this race is going to play out, we're doing 54 laps here at Watkins Glen. So there's a couple opportunities for drivers to make mistakes. There's definitely going to be some chances for drivers to get wheel to wheel, kind of bump and grind one another a little bit. Do I think that's going to happen throughout the entire race? Not necessarily. I think there's going to be, especially already since, again, we've seen it in qualifying, drivers have not had the most consistent times with one another, if you will. There's definitely been some gaps between the field. So I think we're going to see that field spread out within the first, I would say, 5 to 6 laps. Now, coming into this race, we are expecting to have, I believe it's going to be 12 to 13 laps for fuel windows. So very short windows here at Watkins Glen for fuel. Now, with 54 laps, that's going to come out to about 3 or 4 fuel stops for this race. And that's going to heavily affect how this shapes up the rest of the race here tonight as well. So, me personally, I'm excited for this race, and I'm excited to see what all of these drivers are going to do here for tonight. But rolling right in to our starting grid for tonight's race, Butch Davis in the number 43 machine, like we said before, starting very well for this race. Starting first out on the front row, Chad Simpson in the 42, going to be in second place with VRS Satellite Racing. Nate Siefker going to be in the number 2 machine. Starting out in third place, Chris Walker in the number 23 with Voodoo Racing going to be in fourth place. Rounding out the second row, Rick Ravon in the number 7 machine, going to be in 5th place with Jake Walsh in the 33, going to be in 6th, rounding out your third row. Lyle Swearingen in the number 68, going to be in 7th place with Chris Simard in 8th place. Jeffrey Boggin in 9th place. Darren Ganji in 10th place. Bentley Glazer in 11th. Dale Weiser in 12th place. Kevin O'Brien in 13th. Jeffrey Rowlett in 14th. Brett Beasley in 15th. Jose Phillips in 16th. Ernie Ludwig in 17th. Jari Propatcher in 18th. Jeff Hollingsworth in 19th. Dan Brazington in 20th. Timmy Bates in 21st. And Shane Loveridge in 22nd. Rounding out your starting grid here today. Interesting strategies going to be going on, Mr. Bonehead says, and again, another great point. A lot of interesting strategies here today, and I've been told as well that if drivers are conservative on their fuel, if they're able to play it smart, take it easy, they might be able to extend that fuel window by a lap, maybe 2, if they're extremely lucky and maybe just a little easy on that throttle. But we'll see how things play out here. This is only lap 1 of 54 here for today's race. So a lot of racing has to be done here today. You can already see drivers bobbing back and forth, getting themselves ready to rock and roll for today's race here today as we ride on board with Jake Walsh for just a moment here today. And just kind of ride on board here with one of our drivers as they get ready to kick things off here for today's race. You can see Jake Walsh bobbing and weaving back and forth here, getting themselves ready to go here. And I gotta say, folks, having been to Watkins Glen, like I said, a little bit before the race here today, and having driven this car on this track, again, this is going to be quite the fast-paced race for these guys. And whether or not we're going to see any cautions come out is, I would say it's almost unlikely unless there is absolute carnage that consumes a large portion of the field, or if there's just cars on the track that are not able to get out of the way safely or in time for everyone else. I definitely don't want to have a safety concern for the other drivers that are still in the race as we approach the final couple turns here. We will see that pace car come down into pit road. The final turn before we go green. If I'm not mistaken. There it goes. Pace car comes down into pit road, and the green flag will fly. Drivers are going to scream across the checkered line into turn 1. Butch Davis taking the lead, and the 43 machine doing quite well, sticking out in front of the number 2 of Nate Siefker. Look at this action unfolding here. Crawling through the S's, coming down the back straight. Look at these drivers. They are back to back, bumper to bumper. This is absolutely thrilling to see. Almost 3 wide down the backstretch here. Rick Raven trying to find an open spot to pull himself an opportunity. Nate Siefker taking the lead here. Butch Davis down on the outside. Look at these drivers. They are all over the place here, trying to fight tooth and nail for these positions this early on in the race. These guys are ready. They're ready to get some of this action. They want to get going. A nice start for the 43. Uncle Bonehead says, I got to agree, that was a great start. Now he's down into 4th place. Is he going to be able to work his way back up this grid here? Fight his way back up. We've already seen some excellent battles forming between a lot of these guys. Let's see if it continues going forward. Let's hop on board here with the number 77, Chris Simard, as he follows behind the 68 of Lyle Swearingen, riding across. Oh, look at this action coming down the front stretch. Everyone's starting to fall into single file, and again, this is something that I almost expected to happen here for a majority of this race. Once drivers kind of found their spots, there's not going to be a whole lot of side-by-side action unless there's a real battle happening. And it looks like right now, Butch Davis and Chad Simpson are both going to be in a battle here for 4th place as Chad Simpson goes on the outside of the 43, going to come into right-hander here. Butch Davis going to be on the outside, not going to be able to do anything to defend that spot from Chad Simpson. Chad taking away 4th place now. Jake Walsh in the 33 now looking behind the 43 of Butch Davis. So maybe a little bit of commentator's curse coming into play here on my end for that 43 of Butch Davis. Kind of whittling his way down this pack here, but he is not out of the picture by any means necessary. By any means at all, I should say, rather. Butch Davis here still fighting. He's still trying to do whatever he can here to work his way through this grid. So I'm going to expect to see that happen and continue to happen here for a lot of these drivers. But kind of looking up here at the chopper cam, seeing as Darren Ganji in the number 11 works his way down the front stretch, and you can see the distance starting to spread between these drivers here. And again, that's attributed to the different pace that a lot of these drivers are going to have for this race, and whether or not they're going to be able to stay consistent with that pace for the entirety of the race, well, it's a good question. That's a different story. Coming from ovals into a road course, if drivers have never been on a road course in their entire sim racing or real life racing career, it's definitely kind of shell shock. You're definitely kind of thrown in with the wolves, and you're probably not going to have a great time. But if you put in a little practice, get a little experience with it, and again, there's only a few of these road courses that you as a driver are going to have to worry about. There's not going to be exactly a long list of tracks that you're going to have to practice and worry about throughout your schedule. And you might not even look at the schedule and look at the road courses and think, oh, those are going to be a big problem for myself. For most drivers, it usually isn't. As long as you do well in the majority of your races, you're going to do fine throughout the season and throughout your point standings. And bringing up points here as well, let's talk about points. So looking here, Butch Davis is actually our leader in point standings currently after the second race, the Music City 175 at Nashville Superspeedway. So Butch Davis on the top of the championship standings with 72 points, and Kieran Bergelli going to be in second with 70 points, and Chris Walker going to be in third with 57 points. So between Butch Davis and Kieran Bergelli, there's 2-point difference. So if either of these drivers here tonight, they don't even have to necessarily win this race to be on top of one or the other. A lot of different battles that are forming here on this championship standings, but right now looks like Butch Davis and Kieran Bergelli, both of these drivers here, they're going to want to place as high as possible in this race. This is almost going to be vital if they want to maintain their spots on the championship standings. Now, if they have a bum race here or there, that's not a big deal. And this, I don't want to jinx anything, but this could be one of those races for these guys that might just throw a wrench in the gears for them, and they have a bad race, and it ultimately reflects that in points. Now, if you are able to give yourself kind of enough cushion points-wise that you can have that bum race and not really worry about it too much, then it's not too much of a big deal. But this is round 3. This is just the beginning of this series. You want to do as well as possible early on to let yourself have those bad days going into the future. Now, that's not necessarily the only strategy or even the strategy at all. It's just a way of thinking, you could say. But enough of that. Sure, you've all had plenty of time to look at that for just a moment here, but we'll take a look at that one more time, I'm sure, before the end of the race here today. But lap 5 of 54, just about halfway before we start to see drivers come down into pit road and get ready to take some fuel for this race here today. Now, I also have to mention here as well, the tires that drivers are using here today. Now, the reds that we're seeing a lot of drivers on already are going to be a lot faster here at Watkins Glen, but they're not going to be nearly as consistent as their black counterparts. Now, that may not exactly be a major part of driver strategies here tonight, as it is not required of them to utilize a a tire change. They are not required to change their tires, change their compound. To clarify, they're not expected to do that here tonight. So what we are going to expect to see here is drivers trying to hold out on these tires as long as possible, but utilize as much fuel as they can. They want to stay out as long as possible with as much fuel as they possibly can fit inside that car. But right here we see Jake Walsh in the 33 trying to get around Butch Davis. It looked like there for a second, but Jake Walsh going to find himself on the outside of Chris Simard. Able to work his way around that. They go single file here once again, coming out actually here down on the bottom of the boot. Going into the toe, I believe. And this is part of what I was expecting to see here for a lot of this race here tonight. A lot of single file racing, a lot of patient racing. 54 laps that we have to complete here at Watkins Glen. You don't want to push yourself too aggressively too early on in this race. That's just not necessary. If you're finding yourself pushing too aggressive too early, and just like there, you saw just a little bit ago, Jake Walsh in the 33 just barely inched onto the grass there for just a moment. And it's just little things like that that can push you into the wall and ultimately find yourself out of the race. And you don't want to do that when it's lap 7 of the race. Not even a quarter of the way through this race here today. And already we're seeing a lot of patient action. A lot of patient driving, patient racing from all of these drivers here today. And it's great to see. When you come into a race like this, you almost kind of half expect that there are some drivers that are going to be a little impatient, and that's usually a given. Sometimes there's going to be that driver that is just wanting to work his way through the grid faster than everybody else, and essentially just wants to be a show-off sometimes. And that's, some leagues have them, some leagues don't. Even in real life, there's always that driver, and I'm sure you're probably thinking of them right now as I say that. Now, on another note, here, lap 7 that we're on right now, and I want to mention again that we were expecting drivers to have about, we saw there Shane Loveridge in that number 72 machine. Look, oh no! Sends Jose Vigorov sideways out, spinning. Jose in the 48 machine, not gonna be too pleased with that one. I'm sure he's gonna get on the radio and have a word with his crew chief about that one. Kevin O'Brien in the 84 machine. I'm sure race control is gonna be looking at that one. But again here, Uncle Bonehead mentioning in chat, you can see how fast those turns are in these cars. With the gyro shots that we were just on. And yeah, this is part of what I was expecting. A lot of very, very fast racing here. This track allows these cars, I think, personally, a really good opportunity to get on the pedal and really just let them glide through these turns. And that was kind of the feeling that I was getting driving this car earlier before the race, was you almost kind of can just glide through this track. There's not a whole lot of aggressive inputs or aggressive racecraft that you have to do to be fast on a track like this. And that's really a lovely thing coming from, whether it's Formula racing, whether it's Formula 1, 2, 3, whatever the case may be, or even any form of open wheel racing, really. Seeing these cars come here and perform this well and just be able to be as quick as they are, really great to see. And I'm sure that these drivers are having a lot of fun here. I know that if I was here on track, I know that I would be quite ecstatic to be here. But as we have action brewing up here for P4, Chad Simpson in that number 42 machine, Butch Davis is saying, I want it back. and he is going to stop at nothing to make sure that happens here in that number 43 machine. We're going to ride on board here with Butch Davis as he tracks down the number 42 machine of Chad Simpson. Not quite close enough to make a pass yet, but he's going to continue to chip away at that gap, especially in these tight turns here. You can see Chad Simpson also getting a little loose here. Lap 9 of 54 here, about 3 to 5 laps that we're going to see drivers stay out before we see the first driver come down into pit road here. Lap 10 as Nate Siefker crosses the line in the lead. Chris Walker here as well, battling it out with Rick Ravon in the number 7 machine. You can see just how close that number 7 is getting to the 23 of Chris Walker. These drivers both doing all that they possibly can here, and Chris Walker definitely trying his best to stay out in front of this number 7 machine, trying to hit all his marks, trying to stay as consistent as possible, and looks like Rick even trying to push as much as he can, trying to find any weak spots in that number 23 machine, see what he can do here to battle here with the number 23. But looking back here in 16th place, we just had, it looks like Shane Loveridge. It was actually Dan Brazington and Ernie Lugwood battling it out for 15th place. But Dan Brazington on a mission here. He's quickly getting away from that number 26 machine. He's not wasting any time trying to catch back up here with the front of the field in any realistic way that he can. But looking up front, just in front of these guys, Brett Beasley, as well as Jeffrey Rowlett. Oh no, Brett Beasley goes way wide onto the grass. That's going to cost him some positions. Falling into 16th now behind Ernie Ludwig in the number 26 machine here. Lap 11 of 54 here, and this is going to be the time where we are going to expect to see drivers come down into pit road for the first time for this race here today. Nate Siefker that we're looking at in the lead currently with just over 2 seconds of a gap between himself and second place Chris Walker. We're going to keep our eyes here on our race leader and see where he decides to come down into pit road, because ultimately this is what is going to decide when the rest of the field is going to come down that pit road, and when that's going to give them the opportunity to get some fuel and get back out on track as quickly as possible. Any time that you spend in the pits is extremely valuable. You have to make it count. If you go into the pit, if you are even a second late when your pit crew tells you to step on the throttle and get out of the stall, it's going to cost you severely. So drivers are going to have to hit these marks here perfectly. They're going to have to execute these pit stops to near perfection if they expect to win this race. Any mistakes will be extremely costly. Now, when exactly we are going to see those drivers come down here into pit road, like I said, lap 12, 13 is when we were told that drivers are going to be expected to come down into pit road here. That is what fuel is going to allow them to do here today, unless they are a little bit more conservative. Might be able to extend it to lap 14, maybe 15 if drivers are a little bit less aggressive on that throttle and taking things a little bit longer. But Rick Ravon in the number 7 machine in third place, currently still behind the 23 of Chris Walker here, tracking down these two guys here. They're both, I almost am going to expect they're going to come down into pit road at the exact same time, and honestly here maybe even the top 5 are all going to come down here at pit road at the same time, and that might get interesting here very, very quickly. Coming down out of the final turn here, we might see drivers coming down into pit road. Here we go. Nate Siefker, Rick Ravon, both dropping down into pit road, doing a great job here, coming across the line, not locking up the tires here as well, it looks like. And Chris Simard also coming down here into pit road in the number 77 machine. That's going to start pit cycles here for today. Yari Bropatcher also coming here into pit road as well. But Chris Walker is going to have an opportunity to lead a lap or two here. Not exactly sure how much fuel he's still got left in that tank. He might have his crew chief in his ear telling him, hey, you need to come down into pit road right now, or else you're going to be stuck out in the middle of the track, and we're going to have to come tow you back into pit road. And that's definitely going to come with a couple fines and some penalties from race control. Now, Chris Walker here in the number 23 machine, as he leads this race right now, coming down into the final few turns here before he's going to have that chance to come down into pit road here. We're going to pay attention here for just a second. There he goes, right down into pit road, right as we expected. And that's now going to, here we go, bunch of the field actually coming down here into pit road. A little bit of a far shot than we would have preferred there, but you can definitely see now, actually, if we can, never mind. All right, well, majority of our field is coming down here into pit road, and this is where things are going to get a little weird, going to shake up things here a little bit. Nate Siefker now going to be our race leader as he takes the lead. Rick Ravon, Chris Walker, second and third, going to be out of the pits first. And we have a question in chat. Has anyone stayed out too long and ran out of fuel? And it does not look like anyone has yet. We'll pay attention here because drivers still should have another lap or so, and it actually looks like everyone has come into pit road. So no, it does not look like anyone has suffered from running out of fuel here tonight. So everyone's crew chief doing a great job here tonight, making sure that their drivers coming down into pit road to get that fuel, finish out today's race. Again, we're going to have probably 2 or 3 more pit stops before the end of this race here tonight, so these guys are going to have to hit those marks perfectly every single time. Now, Nate Siefker here, given that he came in lap 12, Rick Ravon as well, also coming in lap 12. These two guys going to be at a bit of a not necessarily a disadvantage, but once they come down pit road for the final time, they are going to be in a position where once they get towards the end of the race, they're going to be kind of teetering potentially on the edge of having enough fuel and not having enough fuel. So once we get towards that lap 50-ish mark, that's definitely going to mean some interesting things here. Has anyone stayed out in the past? To my knowledge, I would not know for Sim Racer's Edge, but I've seen it in other series and other leagues, whether it's real life or in sim racing. It definitely does happen, and it is quite hysterical to watch. But with that in mind, I don't think we're going to see anyone here do that. I'm almost confident that everyone here is going to be very, very aware that they are going to have to come down that pit road very shortly. Well, a few laps ago they would have. But now it's back into race mode. We're back into the groove of things, but this is where things are a little bit strange. We have the field that is now kind of spread out quite significantly. Looking down at the track map on the bottom right-hand side of your screen, you will see the distance between a lot of the drivers that are out on track right now, and even in timing, there's drivers all over the place. Depending on their position, there's drivers that are following each other that are not even in the same position. So as we look along here with Nate Siefker, lap 16 of 54, everyone having come down into pit road successfully, gotten topped off on fuel, ready to start their next stint of the race here today. A lot of great racing that we've seen here too. I gotta say, I gotta touch on it. These guys have done an incredible job here of racing. Everyone not being too aggressive with one another, especially at the start of the race when everyone's side by side. We saw a little bit of two side by side, a little bit of three wide action, and everyone stayed clean, stayed consistent, and that's the key. That's what we want to see here. Whether you're watching the race, whether you're up here in the booth calling the race, or in the race racing it, it's definitely great to see all of the clean and smooth racing that we have here from these guys here from Sim Racers Edge for the Alpha Series Season 4, presented by ecency.com. So again, I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in here tonight. I hope everyone is enjoying the broadcast here and is enjoying the show thus far. But as we look here right now, we're kind of looking for some action out here on track. Just looking to see where drivers are, what's kind of shaking up the field here just a little bit. Shane Loveridge, Ernie Ludwig, in 15th right now. Kind of both trailing around with one another as they work their way through the final turns here. Going to come down into the front stretch across the line. And again, folks, once we get to about, it's going to be about lap 30, if I would have to guess. Well, actually, it could be anywhere between lap 24 to lap 28 that we see drivers come down here into pit road once again. So things are going to be a little interesting for how the field is going to shake up once we reach that second pit cycle. How is that going to affect things? How is that going to shake up this field? And how are drivers kind of planning for it? What's going through their heads? And what are we going to see here going into that second cycle? Now, we're going to take a very quick commercial break up here in the booth, and we will be right back. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. We will be right back with more Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series Season 4, presented by ecency.com. I hope you all are enjoying, folks. We'll be right back with more iRacing here on Team Goon Squad.
Ecency, okay. Ecency, it's great. I'm having a blast driving around. Yeah, that was a fast lap.
Hey, Jeff.
Yeah?
What are you doing, man?
I'm just writing a quick post to the Need for Speed community on Ecency.
A what for who community?
The Need for Speed community. It's the community on Hive that's all about racing.
How do I get into this?
Just go to ecency.com, sign up for an account, and download the app.
Dude, that's really cool. But now you gotta go.
Yeah, I'm on there every day.
No. I mean, go, man. Go.
Okay, let's go. I recently joined Ecency and discovered the Need for Speed community. It's the perfect place for me to share my simulation driving experience with people all around the world. Thanks in no small part to all the support from Ecency, Sim Racers Edge is able to stream our races live each week for all our fans. I invite you to join Ecency today to follow Sim Racers Edge all season long.
Alright, folks, welcome back to the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series Season 4, presented by ecency.com. If you're just now tuning in, thank you for joining us here today for the show. I hope everyone is ready for some more road racing here at Watkins Glen. It has already been quite the interesting race here thus far. Nate Siefker in the lead right now after the shuffle from our leaders after coming down pit road for the first pit cycle. We're on lap 19 now of 54. About 6 laps before we see our next pit cycle begin. That's also an estimate, so we might even see that window be extended here once again just by a little bit, depending on what driver that we're looking at, kind of talking about here, as Rick Ravon here in the number 7 is getting tracked down by the number 23 of Chris Walker. You can see just how close Chris Walker is trying to get to the back end of Rick Ravon here, trying to find an opening. Any spot, any place on the track that he can get a little bit more speed and try and put a little pressure on the number 7 here. But again, this is a very, very fast circuit. This is definitely a place where speed is key. You don't want to let up on that throttle. You want to be on it as much as you possibly can in a race like this, as Chris Walker takes it around the outside, coming into the S's. Is it going to be enough? Chris Walker still putting the pressure on Rick Ravon here. The number 7 machine still holding on to it, coming out onto the back stretch here. Oh, Chris Walker, Rick Ravon going to be wheel to wheel as they come into the right-hander. Who's going to be out in front? Oh, man. And here's the next turn here as well. This nice left-hander. This is going to give the opportunity to Chris Walker to take the lead, and he does. Second place for the number 23 machine. Chris Walker doing a great job there. Some great battles happening, but Rick Ravon says it's not over. Rick Ravon coming in on the inside of that number 23 machine, down the bottom of the boot, going into the heel. Here we go. Rick Ravon on the inside. Oh, Chris Walker goes wide, not able to hold on to that second place position. That is going to be, heartbreaking for the number 23 machine. I'm sure that was some hard-fought battle there. Chris Walker doing some fantastic racing there, however, trying to do everything in his power to work his way into that second place position. And oh man, just a great fight between these two drivers here. Now, we're going to take a second here by the request of Chad here. We're going to head up to our blimp camera. That'll probably give us a little bit of a better view here to take a look at the distance between our drivers here in second and third place and in the lead. Now, our lead place driver is actually out of view at the moment, and I'm not sure if we'll be able to get a shot of our number 2, Nate Seeker, who's currently in the lead. But here the battle between Rick Ravon and Chris Walker is not done, and frankly, this is just giving us a fantastic view here of this battle here. Here we go. We might be able to see the distance between these drivers here as they work their way. No, not quite enough angle, but that's all right. So, again, a lot of these drivers here just trying to find any place that they can battle it out and get a little bit more speed rolling here. And right as I say that, Shane Loveridge in the number 72 machine working his way around the 69 of Brett Beasley. Jake Walsh is actually going to be involved in a incident here as well. Oh, look at that. 33 machine. There is pieces of car all over the track, but luckily he is right here at pit road. He's going to take it down, and oh, look at that. He's not even able to turn it right. Oh man, just barely able to get it down into pit road. That wheel wants to come off so badly. Let's take a look at the replay here of Jake Walsh and see exactly what happens here for this number 33 machine. See, he's coming down, setting himself up for the next turn. Everything looks fine and dandy. Everything's still smooth so far. It seems like maybe... Oh, there it goes. The slide begins. Yep, there it goes. Not able to... Oh, he tries to correct it. Tries to slow it down. It's not going to be enough. Sends it spinning into the wall. The front end absolutely gobbled up. That whole front wing demolished. And that front left driver's side tire, or front left tire, excuse me, absolutely crippled here in this race here. Not a great thing to see for the number 33 of Jake Walsh, but looks like the pit crew was able to get it fixed and squared away. He's going to find his way back out and back out onto the track here. But Nate Siefker still our race leader, and as we were mentioning before, as we were trying to get a shot of the back of the field, or the rest of the field here, Nate Siefker has actually almost 12 seconds of a gap between himself and the number 23 machine of Chris Walker, who is currently in second place. Now, that is an impressive gap, as we are on lap 23 now of 54. The pit window is going to be open here once Nate Siefker crosses that checkered line here, and we're going to expect to see drivers coming down that pit road here next lap around, or next few laps around. Again, that's going to be probably lap 24 to lap 28. That actually, looking at timing, it might even be lap 24 to lap 27, actually, is looking like the latest that some drivers are going to be opting to come in here. So some different strategies that are being put out, and another strategy that could be implemented here is some drivers might opt to come in a little bit earlier, and they might want to change to that black tire compound that does give them a little bit more consistency and might give them some better results. But every driver is going to have their own ideas of what's going to work, what's not going to work, and how they plan to implement that into their own race. So we'll see how that carries forward going on. Timmy Bates in the number 21 machine here in 15th, battling it out here with the 26 of Ernie Ludwig. Getting very, very close to one another here. But Timmy Bates falling back just a little bit. And again, we're seeing a lot of different times here that are being put down by these drivers here today. So we're seeing drivers all over the track here, and as things go forward, that's ultimately what we're going to see a lot of here. Especially once our pit cycles start here once again, it's kind of going to be all over the place. It's going to be very sporadic, and as drivers work their way back out onto the field, it's going to shake things up. It's going to have an interesting effect here on our drivers out in the front of the field, potentially, as Chris Walker and Rick Ravon still duking it out here out in front. Chad Simpson as well, also working his way into that mix, but Rick Ravon going to be the driver to start the pit cycles for everyone here today. The number 7 machine going to come down here into pit road. The 77 coming down here as well, down that pit road. Now, so being this is our second pit cycle, how this is going to shake things up here for our drivers out in front, Rick Ravon going to be at a slight advantage, as once our leaders come down into pit road next time around, Rick Ravon is going to be able to stay out in front of those drivers, be able to take the lead potentially if things work out in his favor. Now, that doesn't always exactly mean that he's going to stay the leader and stay out in front the entire time, but it does give him a chance to get out there, lead some laps, and potentially win a race. But this is only the second pit cycle. We are just about halfway through this race, so this isn't even anywhere near over yet. So, lap 25 of 54 here for this race. Nate Siefker comes down into pit road with nearly a 12-second gap between himself and Chris Walker. I'm going to be quite curious to see here if Chris Walker's going to opt to come in here as well, and he does. Smart move there from the number 23 machine, coming down into pit road here as well. So that's going to now pass the lead off to Chad Simpson for this, for now at least. Now, whether or not how long he's going to stay out is a good question. He came down lap 13 last time around, so he's gonna be running pretty low here on fuel. He's gonna come down probably this lap or next. Now, the next driver that is going to be able to take back the lead here, Nate Siefker, actually is going to be the one to once the rest of the drivers come down pit road, it looks like he's going to take back the lead here once again. So that lead, that massive gap that Nate Siefker was able to pull on the rest of the field, and before he came down pit road, it was nearly 12 seconds. That definitely gave the number 2 machine quite the advantage here for this race. Yeah, and right there in chat, they said it themselves. 12 seconds he could have pit and came back out without even losing a spot, and that's exactly right. Again, when you're coming down into pit road in these machines, you don't have to necessarily worry about tires, especially when it's only lap 26 of 54. Your tires are still good. You got to remember, we're coming from racing on ovals. These tires are going to last quite a long time. They're not exactly going to be worse for wear at this point in the race. Now, I'm going to assume that probably next time around we're going to see some tire changes, and that's going to slow things down for the pit crew just a little bit. But when you're only coming down into pit road for fuel, looking at pit times right now, 8 seconds seems to be our average here at the moment. So things happen very quickly here in this race, especially when it is in the pit road, and that is why those moments are key and vital to getting them correct and getting them done as quickly as possible. So a lot of these drivers here have shown that they are very capable of doing just that and are able to play the strategy game and are using it to their advantage. Butch Davis right now, our current leader, but he is going to be coming down into pit road here very shortly. Lap 13 he came down into pit road. So he's going to be coming down here this time around, I would have to imagine. And again, that's going to pass the lead back off to Nate Siefker. And between Nate Siefker and Rick Ravon, there is actually a 14-second gap between Rick Ravon and Nate Siefker right now. So once Nate is able to retake the lead here, and as Nate actually works his way through the final few turns here, and Butch Davis works his way into pit road, that's gonna give the opportunity back to Nate Siefker here to retake the lead. But Rick Ravon and Chris Walker are both still battling it out here for this second place position, or rather third place right now, once they get past pit road here and past Butch Davis, who is currently holding on to that second place position as he is in that pit stall getting service currently. It looks like he is jacked up on all fours. There he goes off to the races here once again, about 9 seconds in the pit stall. So everyone here doing a fantastic job here on that second pit cycle here, lap 28 of 54. Nate Siefker gonna be our leader here once again after leading a majority of this race after the first pit cycle ended. And Chris Walker, Rick Ravon both battling for this second place position even after the second pit cycle has ended. These two drivers have not lost sight of one another, still going tooth and nail for one another. But with that in mind, folks, we are going to take another quick short break here in the booth, give my throat a little bit of a water break, and we will be right back with the action here on Team Goon Squad. Stay tuned for more of Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series Season 4 presented by ecency.com. We will be right back with more iRacing here on Team Goon Squad.
Imagine a world where you can connect and create meaningful communities with similar interests at the touch of your fingertips. and get rewarded for doing so. We at Essensi are building a platform to do just that. Essensi, set it free and be free. Go to Essensi.com to download the app and create an account and support the Sim Racers Edge community.
I recently joined Essensi and discovered the Need for Speed community. It's the perfect place for me to share my simulation driving experience with people all around the world. Thanks in no small part to all the support from Essensi, Sim Racers Edge is able to stream our races live each week for all our fans. I invite you to join Essensi today to follow Sim Racers Edge all season long.
All right, folks, and welcome back to the action here. Round number 3 of the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series presented by Essensi.com. What a race it has been here tonight, folks. Lap 29 of 54, just over halfway through this race here at the Glen. And Nate Siefker has done an impressive job of leading this race and playing his pit stop strategies extremely well. Nate Siefker still with actually now up from 12 seconds of a gap to nearly 15 seconds. So Nate Siefker absolutely taking away this lead here. And actually, it looks like he's closing in on the number 33 of Jake Walsh. And is going to put that number 33 here a lap down if he allows that number 2 machine to get around. And, oh no, we have a car in the grass. Timmy Bates. Looks like went off track there for just a moment, found himself spun around. He's going to take it back behind the wall here, get himself sorted back out. But Jake Walsh here going to let the number 2 machine by. That's going to force the 33 down a lap here. But Nate Siefker, it's going to allow him to keep racing and keep pushing on and really keep extending this gap that he has made for himself. And frankly, I don't think it's going to close anytime soon here, as we are on 25 left to go here. And this is going to be... probably the final stint here before our last pit cycle for this race here today. So one more time down pit road for a splash of fuel and maybe some tires, and this is going to be the end. This is where things are really going to start to heat up for these guys, and I gotta say, folks, it's going to be exciting to see how this shakes up going forward. Now, everyone's starting to get a little bit calm out here on track, starting to get a little bit spread out. If you're looking on the track map down on the bottom right-hand side of your screen, you'll see just that as well. A lot of the field here has kind of found their own little piece of the track to stay on. And the number 2 machine has definitely checked out, as Uncle Bonehead has mentioned in chat. Nate Siefker absolutely on a mission here today, has done an incredible job here in this race. And I gotta say, a lot of these drivers here have also just done an incredible job of staying consistent, trying to stay out in this race and be competitive, whether or not they're out in the front of the field or they're in the middle or in the back. They're trying to have the best race that they can. Again, we're coming from ovals into a road course. This is the first road course on the schedule, and like I mentioned towards the beginning of the broadcast, there are going to be some drivers that prefer ovals. There are going to be some drivers that prefer road courses. That's just the nature of things. But look at here, Shane Loveridge doing a great job working his way around Jeffrey Rowlett. The 72 machine in 11th place currently has worked his way up 11 positions from the start of this race, and quite frankly has done an incredible job throughout this race, staying clean, staying consistent, He's only gone off track one time here today, so again, consistency is going to be key here for these races, and a lot of these guys have shown that they're definitely capable of staying as consistent as possible at a track like this, where speed is definitely key. So we ride on board here with Rick Ravon in the number 7 machine as he follows behind Chris Walker in that number 23 machine, trying to close his way to the inside of the 23. There he goes, trying to get a little bit closer. Not going to be quite what he's looking for here, though. Going to fall back just a little bit, but making up for it in the next turn. Doing a great job of it as well here. Staying with that number 23 machine, trying to get as close as he can. Coming into the front stretch. Not going to be quite enough speed here. But going into turn 1, this is going to give that number 7 with Rick Ravon an opportunity to possibly... Ooh, both of these drivers. A little bit of smoke coming out of the tires going into turn 1. Both of these guys definitely pushing as hard as they can, and frankly doing a fantastic job of it. Rick Ravon looking on the outside, though, of the 23. Chris Walker able to just inch out in front. Coming into the right-hander, though. This is the same spot that we saw these guys duke it out before. Chris Walker in the same position as he was before. Is he going to be able to pull off the same magic that he did last time around? Let's find out. Battle for P2 here. Rick Ravon just out in front of the 23 of Chris Walker. These guys have battled it out here for nearly the majority of this race, and frankly have not moved from one another since probably the first pit stop. And the racing between these two has only gotten more and more exciting to watch as we continue to watch these guys battle it out. But another driver that we have to mention here, Chad Simpson in the 42 machine, who's starting to close his way into this mix here, here in the top 3, as he's in P4 right now. So if he's able to work his way up to these guys here, kind of as they're battling it out with one another, he might be able to find an opportunity to wiggle his way through. All right, and on your screen right now as well, if you're looking at the timing tower, is going to be our last lap times for drivers here at the Glen, as requested in chat. So if you're looking right now, Nate Siefker putting off lap times 128.43. Looks like not even the fastest laps that have been put down here today. Drivers have been putting down 127s here throughout the race, but as tires start to wear out and you're not able to maintain the same level of grip that you were before, your times start to taper off a little bit, but only by a few seconds. It's usually not extremely significant, but again, consistency is going to be the key here for the race here today. And again, a lot of these drivers here have done just that. They have all been extremely consistent throughout this race here. And frankly, it's great to see. I love to see all of these drivers performing as well as they are. As Rick Ravon and Chris Walker here still duking it out for that second place position with 20 laps left to go. Folks, this is, I gotta say, this is where things are going to be interesting for these guys kind of up here in these top 5 spots. Nate Siefker, on the other hand, not exactly sure how. Look at that. Rick Ravon with the lockup lets Chris Walker get a little bit closer to the rear end of that number 7 machine as we ride on board with Chris Walker. Let's have a listen to the inside of the number 23 machine as we take a lap around the Glen. While we were watching Chris Walker there for just a moment, Jose Vigora was involved in an incident and found himself having to come down into pit road and get that number 48 machine sorted out. But he's back out on track already, and even despite being, I think, a couple laps down here, he's done quite the job for himself here tonight, just trying to stay consistent. Again, these road courses can be brutal. Excuse me, for some of these drivers. And, as I say that, goes wide into the grass, almost gets into the wall. I'm sure probably just barely scraped that wall coming out of that turn. So, Jose might be having some issues here today in that number 48 machine, but still trying to make the best of it. And Rick Ravon coming down into pit road, the lockup as he crosses the line. Hopefully he does not catch a speeding penalty for that. And if I had to be a betting man, I'm going to assume that this is going to be Rick Ravon's attempt at the undercut. He is wanting to stay out when everyone else is coming in to pit road that final time, and I think this is going to be the perfect time to do it. With 18 laps left to go, well, might be pushing it. With now, we might even see a kind of a last-minute pit stop here for some of these drivers, so that might be a possibility. But Rick Ravon going to come out lap 36, 54 laps that we have to do here today. So I'm going to expect to see this number 7 machine come down into pit road here one more time before the end of this race here today. And again, this is going to kind of shake up things for a lot of these guys, but with how spread out the field is, I'm not exactly sure how it's going to shake up our grid here, as we're looking now with Chris Walker and Chad Simpson as they are now in second and third. Going to be battling it out here, but Chris Walker coming down into pit road now here as well, so I have a feeling that there is going to be one more pit stop here before the end of the race, and it's going to be in the final few laps. So there's going to be a shootout at the end, but whether or not there's going to be any battling between the drivers that are out on the lead lap or out in front, hard to say. I'm not too confident that there's going to be any side-by-side battling happening, but I'm certain that there is going to be a tooth and nail fight to make sure that they get their marks right every time here in these final few laps. 17 to go before we see the checkered. And everyone here, again, has done an incredible job in this race, trying to stay as consistent as possible and stay out as long as they can without getting themselves involved in an incident and wrecking their car. And it looks like right now we still have 18 drivers that are actively out on the racetrack. So good to see so many drivers here at the Glen, here in the IR-18s, as we watch now with Dale Weiser in the 24 machine in 8th place currently. Going to be following behind Chris Walker, who looks like, after coming out of that pit stop. He's going to find himself in 7th place currently. So 16 to go. And Chris Walker here gonna have an opportunity to possibly have a chance at recollecting himself with the guys in the top 3 here. We'll see how the field cycles itself back out once everyone comes down into pit road. We have Chris Simard, excuse me, in the 77 coming down into pit road right now. So not really too many drivers opting to come in right now. It's kind of sporadic at this point in time. So I think right now what we're seeing is a lot of end race strategy and how these guys are planning it out, how they're wanting to do it is definitely an exciting thing to see here. And I gotta mention here as well. Let's go back and take a look at our last race results for just a moment. Nate Siefker was our race winner for the Music City 175 for last week's race for round number 2, and he's been leading the majority of this race here today. And with the gaps that he has between 1st and 2nd place now, right now he's in 3rd place right now, but he's also come down into pit road lap 38, and that was only a few laps ago. Chad Simpson, Butch Davis, who are 1st and 2nd right now, are lap 26, lap 27 was their last pit road or pit cycle respectively. So Nate Siefker is definitely playing some strategy here, and it definitely seems to be working in his favor. But we're noticing already, again, if you were here earlier at the beginning of the broadcast, we were talking a little bit how much the fuel window was for these drivers here. Now, it is expected to be anywhere between 12 to 14 laps. 14 if you were really, really conservative. So with that in mind, with 15 laps left to go here, last lap for a lot of these guys here was lap 26 or 27 was their last pit cycle if they're still out on track and haven't come down pit road already. Nate Siefker, having come down lap 38, he's, again, I'm going to expect him to have to come in one more time before the end of this race. Now, if any of these drivers here that are still out on track that have come down lap 27, Butch Davis, Chad Simpson, who is actually just now come into pit road, they might be able to stay out on this, stay out with the fuel that they have for the remainder of the race. And that's going to be a huge advantage for them, because if they're able to get past the driver who's out in front, who's has to still come down into pit road, it's going to work out for him. But again, Nate Siefker, having given himself 21 seconds of a gap between himself and 2nd place, that's going to be tough to close, especially knowing that pit cycles are extremely quick. Around 8 seconds is going to be our average pit cycle, and that's not a lot of time, especially when you're looking at 21 seconds to close. You're definitely kind of hoping for a miracle at that point. So a lot of these guys here are not really in the best position to, I guess, get out in front of this number 2 machine. Nate Siefker has absolutely crushed today's race. He has taken away such an incredible lead here, but right as I say that, Butch Davis going to be right on the tail of Nate Siefker, but not for very long. Again, Butch Davis coming down pit road last time, lap 27, and here he goes. This is going to start his 3rd pit cycle for today. And again, Butch Davis here, now that he's with only 13 laps left to go, this gives Butch Davis the perfect opportunity to stay out a little bit longer than Nate Siefker once he comes down pit road this final time, and maybe be able to take away that lead. But we'll see. There is still 13 laps left to go, so I don't want to promise anything, and I don't I don't want to curse anything. So we're going to let these guys continue on. We're going to let them keep racing here. Everyone here settling it out, trying to find their own little spots and grooves out on the track and doing a fantastic job of it here as well. And with that in mind here, we're going to take another short, quick commercial break, folks. We will be right back with round number 3 of the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series presented by ecency.com. Stay tuned for more iRacing here on Team Goon Squad. We will be right back with more, folks.
Ecency, okay. Ecency, it's great. I'm having a blast driving around. Yeah, that was a fast lap.
Hey, Jeff.
Yeah?
What are you doing, man?
I'm just writing a quick post to the Need for Speed community on Ecency.
A what for who community?
The Need for Speed community. It's the community on Hive that's all about racing.
How do I get into this?
Just go to ecency.com, sign up for an account, and download the app.
Dude, that's really cool. But now you gotta go.
Yeah, I'm on there every day.
No. I mean, go, man. Go.
Okay, let's go.
Imagine a world where you can connect and create meaningful communities with similar interests at the touch of your fingertip. And get rewarded for doing so. We at Essency are building a platform to do just that. Essency, set it free and be free. Go to Essency.com to download the app and create an account and support the Sim Racers Edge community.
Alright, folks, welcome back to round number 3 of the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series presented to you by ecency.com. We have had some incredible racing here from the guys here at Sim Racers Edge for the Alpha Series, and right now Nate Siefker has taken away the lead. Right now, 24 seconds between himself and second place Rick Ravon, and I gotta say, folks, that is an absolutely killer gap to close for any of these drivers. Now, we've already talked a little bit about how if Butch Davis... Now, realistically, I don't expect this to happen. It's not in the cards, I don't think, but Nate Siefker is going to have to come down into pit road here before the end of the race. That is almost inevitable. But Butch Davis, on the other hand, he's kind of given himself the perfect opportunity to stay out with just enough fuel to finish this race. And with only 11 laps left to go, Butch Davis coming down lap 41, just a few laps to go. So we're going to see some exciting racing here right towards the end, right all the way until the end, I should say. And impressive is right. 24 seconds, almost 25 now, is absolutely impressive, to say the least. Now, looking at lap times here once again, if we're looking at Nate Siefker, he's currently got the fastest time that it seems like out in the front of the field, but Rick Ravon is looking like he's starting to get a little bit faster here. He's starting to possibly close that gap. Looking at Rick Ravon right now, he's a little bit slower than Nate Siefker, not quite able to get the same pace as that number 2 machine, but still trying to do everything in his power to keep that second place position. And he's going to have to worry about Chad Simpson in that 42 machine, who's just behind him, who's starting to close in based on time. So again, a lot of these guys here, they're going to start to feel the pressure. 10 laps left to go. This is it. This is where things really start to matter, and we're really going to start to see things shake up for these drivers as we get closer and closer to the end. And I gotta mention Nate Siefker, man. Yeah, done an absolutely incredible job throughout this race, having led it practically the entire time, but looks like Dale Weiser having a little bit of problems in the 24 machine, going to take it back behind the wall, get himself fixed back up here, ready. Well, looks like he's going to call it a night here, and that's going to be the end of Dale Weiser in the number 24 machine, as he's going to call it a night for the race with 10 laps left to go. And again, that's part of what happens here. get a little antsy coming towards the end of the race, and that's what happens to a lot of drivers. You get to the end, you see that finish line is getting closer and closer, and the nerves start to settle in. You are hyper focused on hitting your marks. That's when mistakes start to come out. So some drivers here might be starting to struggle with that here a little bit as we get closer and closer to the end of the race here today. But Dan Brazington in the 29 machine going to be at risk of being put a lap down here as the number 2 of Nate Siefker closes in very quickly behind that number 29 machine of Dan Brazington. So we're actually looking at chat here. Lauren Wong wants to know how much time it takes to make it through the pit lane. For some of these guys right now, high 38 seconds, almost 39 seconds to about 44 is what we're seeing for some of these guys here right now. Nate Siefker, his last pit cycle, the total amount of time he was in that pit road, almost 39 seconds. So a lot of these guys here definitely takes them quite a bit of time to come down through that pit road and get back out onto track here. So definitely going to be a factor as we get closer and closer to the end. And again, Nate Siefker expecting to come down that pit road here one more time before the end of the race to get that last splash of fuel to carry out the final few laps of the race. And again, Butch Davis, the only driver that we've touched on that is going to have enough fuel to make it towards the end of the race without having to come down here in these final few laps, as we are looking now with Dan Brazington. Nate Siefker working his way around that number 29 machine quite well here. Nate Siefker almost 27, actually about 27 and a half seconds between himself and second place driver Rick Ravon. So I don't expect to see that close here very soon, but again, probably with 4 laps left to go, 5 laps left to go, I'm going to have to guess, is going to be when Nate Siefker is going to come down into that pit road here and get that final splash of fuel before he comes back out. Takes the field here once again. Nate Siefker still our race leader. Rick Ravon going to come down here into pit road with 7 laps left to go. And Lauren Wong in chat, Butch Davis looking like he's going to take second place, and I have to say that's probably what it's going to look like for that number 43 machine. We're going to see how that plays out, though. Nate Siefker could have the potential to make a mistake. He might be able to, or Butch Davis might be able to close that gap here just by a little bit before that cycle starts for the number 2 machine. 7 laps left to go here. Nate Siefker still our race leader. I gotta say, folks, he's done an amazing job here in this lead. And here we go. Nope, never mind. It looked like he was going to come down here into pit road, but staying back out here. 6 laps left to go. He came down lap 38, so I'm going to have to assume this is going to be probably his last time out before he comes down into that pit road last time around. Again, I was expecting probably 5 to go is when that number 2 machine is going to come back down into pit road, and that's going to leave the door open here for Chad Simpson to take the lead here again. But Chad's going to have to come down here into pit road as well. But Chris Walker taking the opportunity now while he has the chance, coming down into pit road with 6 laps left to go. Butch Davis now in 3rd place, looking like our predictions are going to come to fruition. Butch Davis with about 36 seconds between himself and Nate Siefker, doing incredible job maintaining his pace right now. Actually, just a little bit faster, it looks like, pace-wise, compared to the number 2 machine. And so Butch Davis, once Nate Siefker comes down into pit road that last time around, I don't know, that's gonna leave the door open for the 43 machine. But Chad Simpson is also another driver here that we're gonna be looking out for here, because Chad Simpson only came in a lap earlier than Butch Davis, and we mentioned that Butch is expected to have enough fuel to stay out for the remainder of this race. Now, whether or not that's going to actually be true, well, that's could change things here a little bit. But with only 5 laps left to go here, it's not looking like Chad Simpson's going to have any intentions of coming down into pit road, so it might give the lead off to the 42 here tonight. But we're going to have to keep our eyes open. We're going to have to look and keep watching. With 5 laps left to go, anything can possibly happen here. And with knowing that there is still a last pit stop to be made for some of our drivers, there is opportunity for anything to happen here in these final few moments. Butch Davis still in 3rd right now. And again, a lot of these guys here just going to keep it steady, keep holding on, try and keep consistent here in these final few laps. Only 5 to go. This is where it all counts. This is where it all matters. And all of these guys have worked extremely hard to make it to this point here, as Nate Siefker now comes down into pit road. There he goes, cross the line back there. And that's going to start his pit cycle. Chad Simpson going to be working his way now to try and get through these final few turns across the line and take that lead position with 4 laps left to go. With 4 laps left to go here across the line, the 42 goes, takes the lead for round number 3 of the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series. And here we go. The 42 machine out in front. Nate Siefker actually just behind that number 42 machine. So here is going to be a battle here for first place, I would have to imagine, as these drivers get ready to work their way into this nice right-hander with 4 laps left to go here, folks. The door is still open for opportunity, and Nate Siefker is definitely going to be interested in working his way back to the front of this field and take a win away for round number 3 after taking home the win for the Music City 175. A back-to-back podium would be a great thing for the number 2 machine, but Chad Simpson has other plans in mind. Looking back at last week's race results, Chad Simpson took home 5th for the Music City 175, and this week going to look at potentially taking home first place, but if not first, at least a podium here for the Finger Lakes Grand Prix. And I gotta say, everyone here, every single driver has done an amazing job of just trying to keep this race going and keep themselves going and play out their strategies to the best of their ability. And for a lot of these drivers, I think most of them probably played them out as well as they could. It might not have worked out in their favor, but for the most part, a lot of these guys have done an incredible job here. As we ride on board here with Nate Siefker in the number 2 machine. Making their way through the right-hander. This battle for first place here with 3 laps left to go. Oh, a little bit of wobble from the 42 of Chad Simpson. He gets a little loose. That leaves the door open for the number 2 of Nate Siefker. Here he goes in the inside on the bottom of the boot towards the heel. Here we go. Nate Siefker still trailing down the back of the number 42 machine of Chad Simpson. Chad is definitely feeling the pressure now of Nate Siefker. Nate still trying to find an open spot here around the number 42 machine as we make our way through the final few turns here. Once we cross the line, 2 laps left to go here at the Glen for the Finger Lakes Grand Prix. Chad Simpson, Nate Siefker, single file down the front stretch. Will Nate Siefker try to take it down on the inside going into turn 1? No, he will not. Playing it safe. Going to stay down the back, trying to get a little bit more speed coming in through the S's here. A great opportunity to do just that as well as he gets almost wheel to wheel here. Look at that. Nate Siefker doing everything he can to push that number 2 machine around the inside of the 42 of Chad Simpson as we work our way to the nice right-hander. Chad Simpson on the inside. Is he going to be able to maintain that speed? Nate Siefker in the number 2 on that inside. Oh, Nate's in the perfect spot. He's got it in the bag from here around the 42 of Chad Simpson. He goes and away with the lead. Absolutely impressive work here from that number 2 machine as he takes away the lead here from Chad Simpson in the 42. Chad Simpson left with not many options to defend that number 2 machine from getting around him as we ride on board with the gyro of Chad Simpson. With 2 laps left to go here, folks, this has been some incredible racing here at the Glen for round number 3 of the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series. All of these drivers doing an incredible job in this race here tonight, and Nate Siefker as well on the final lap here for round number 3 of the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series. After an incredible race, the final lap is here. Nate Siefker in first place, having led practically the majority of this race. Looking at our points here as well, Nate Siefker looks like in 7th place right now in the championship standings. That might change here today. It will change, actually, after taking home the win here today at the Glen. I'm sure after next week, Nate Siefker will find himself just a little bit higher up that championship standings. As we work our way through the heel now of the boot, getting ready to wrap up our race here today. And what a fight it was is right. Bonehead saying in chat, Nate Siefker, Chad Simpson absolutely trying everything in their power to battle it out here. Chad Simpson doing everything he can, or he could, to try and take home the win here. But Nate Siefker going to take it across the checkered line for the win for round number 3 for the Finger Lakes Grand Prix of the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series. Chad Simpson taking home 2nd place. Butch Davis coming across the line in 3rd, with Rick Ravon going to take it across the line once he works his way through the final few turns here. Going to come home with 4th place. And Chad Simpson did have enough fuel as he made it across the line for 2nd place here for today's race. And I got to say, folks, this has been quite the race here. A lot of interesting strategies being played out throughout this race, and it's just been absolutely thrilling from start to finish. So As the field works its way across the line and finishes off today's race and gets themselves back behind the wall, we're going to go ahead, take a quick commercial break, get ourselves sorted out here in the booth, and get our drivers ready for their post-race interviews. Stay tuned, folks, for post-race interviews. We'll be right back.
Decency, okay. Decency, it's great. I'm having a blast driving around. Yeah, that was a fast lap.
Hey, Jeff.
Yeah?
What are you doing, man?
I'm just writing a quick post to the Need for Speed community on decency.
A what for who community?
The Need for Speed community. It's the community on Hive that's all about racing.
How do I get into this?
Just go to ecency.com, sign up for an account, and download the app.
Dude, that's really cool. But now you gotta go.
Yeah, I'm on there every day.
No. I mean, go, man. Go.
Okay, let's go.
Alrighty, folks, we are back. Let's go ahead and get ourselves ready for some post-race interviews here. We are going to start off with the number 3 of Butch Davis. Butch, sir, do you have a read?
Yes, sir.
Butch, you had quite the race here today. Butch, I gotta say, it was looking quite promising. You started very well here for qualifying, and it just looked like there was just a couple woes that were happening for that number 43 machine here tonight. What was kind of the struggles that you were facing, and what do you think you could have done better here possibly tonight for the Finger Lakes Grand Prix?
We were pretty good on a one lap deal, but with Rayvon and Siefker and even Walker trying to keep pace with those guys over the course of a fuel run, just not going to happen. Those guys were ripping. So we just opted for strategy. Went with the blacks, which, the reds were fine. They were fast, but they fell off too much in my hands. So we went for the black harder tire compound, the primaries, and just tried to stretch fuel. Tried to make, a fuel number to make it to this lap, and just started kind of playing the race backwards. And then just tried to go for it there at the end if we had anybody in front of us. But, yeah, it's just one of those things where we knew we didn't have the pace outright to race against these guys. So we opted for a strategy instead.
Absolutely, and it definitely seemed strategy was a big part of tonight's race, given that we had four actually pit stops for most of our drivers here tonight. What was it like trying to stay consistent and hit your marks every single time, as well as make sure that you were getting into your stall on time, as well as either before or ahead of your competitors? It definitely seemed like there was a lot of balancing that had to be done out on track for all of our drivers here tonight to succeed here.
Oh yeah, definitely. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Chad Simpson is our fuel guru, strategy guru. And, we're just kind of trying to hit a number every lap as far as how much fuel we're using. Unfortunately, Dan Brazington didn't get it right. But myself and Chad did. I probably saved a little bit too much fuel, which is why I dropped back a little bit further than I wanted to. But yeah, it was difficult. It kind of takes me back to the Alexander Rossi at Indy thing. You want to race and you want to get up there and you want to battle with these guys, but you've got that number in your head that, like, I have to hit this number. I have to hit this number lap after lap after lap. And every now and then, you'd look up, you're like, okay, well, I've got an extra this much. I can burn a little bit here. I can burn a little bit there. But, man, you just got to really, really be you just got to be on that game. I mean, one simple, miscalculation, and like Brazington, we ran out of fuel. It's just tough. It's tough.
Absolutely. Tough is one way I would describe today's race here at the Glen. But, Butch, I want to congratulate you on taking home third. It was definitely a hard-fought battle, I'm sure. And before I let you go here and celebrate your third place finish, is there anyone watching the broadcast, anyone at home that you want to shout out or thank before you go?
Absolutely. I want to thank you guys at the Goon Squad for putting on this great broadcast for us. Definitely want to thank our series sponsor, ecency.com. Also thank Sim Motion and Inside Sim Racing, courtesy of Darren Ganji. Thank all my teammates at FBR Motorsports, all the drivers that run in this league. I've said it before, without the drivers, we don't have a league. And these guys this year, it's been really great racing. It's just been a good time. So definitely want to thank, finally, friends and family that kick back and watch this. The old cripple guy still got it.
Well, Butch, thank you for coming up here and chatting with me in the booth. Great racing tonight, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.
Thank you, Mason. See you guys at Iowa.
All right, Butch, you have a great night. All right, folks, Butch Davis going to be out of the booth here tonight, and I also realized I didn't get everyone's race results up here on the screen. We'll do that here real quick so everyone can have a look at that. But while everyone's taking a look at that, we're going to go ahead and get Chad Simpson up here in the booth, taking home second place for the Finger Lakes Grand Prix. Chad, sir, do you have a read?
I got you.
Chad, what a race that we had here for the Finger Lakes Grand Prix and the 42 machine. You started out in second place here in the race, kind of falling back a little bit as the race went on, but coming out back in second place, right time. I would say that was the fourth pit cycle, and you placed yourself kind of right out in front of Nate Siefker, and Nate didn't really waste any time catching back up to you. But Chad, what was it like finding yourself out in the lead and then having to work your way, battle it out here with Nate Siefker in these final few laps?
Well, that was our fuel save strategy, to do the 3-stop on the blacks the whole race. And the delta was about 32 seconds. I saw Nate hit pit road with, I think, a 30-second lead, so I knew it's going to be close, and we're going to have a battle there, but there's really nothing I can do. Old blacks versus fresh reds. I can't do anything to defend against that. I gave it my best, but a second, I'm great with second on a road course.
Yeah, that was some great racing that we saw from all of the drivers here tonight, and great strategy work there, Chad, from your team. And I gotta ask you, Chad, was that kind of your expectations coming into tonight? Were you expecting it to kind of be a last few lap battle that you were planning for, or what was your thoughts coming into the night for the Glen?
I was hoping it wouldn't be. I was hoping I'd get out with like a 10-second lead and I'd just be able to cruise. But sure enough, here's Nate right there. Like, okay, here we go. This is going to happen. We had to work some kind of a strategy. Nate's very good on the road courses. We know that. So we had to come up with something to try and jump him. And just weren't quite fast enough throughout the rest of the stints to make that happen.
Well, Chad, throughout all the woes of the race here tonight, you managed to work your way into second place through great strategy and just overall good racing. So, Chad, I want to thank you for coming up here and chatting with me in the booth and congratulate you on taking home second place. But before I let you go, is there anyone watching the broadcast, anyone at home that you want to shout out or thank before you head out?
And thanks to our league sponsor, Ecency, Sim Motion, Inside Sim Racing, Sim Inc. on my car, Maradness, Satellite Racing, FBR Motorsports. Butch pushed the strategy. We worked on the strategy, and we made it work. We got the second and third. Somehow we got the 1-2 in qualifying. I don't know how, but we did that. So I'm happy with this one.
Well, either way, you managed to take home podium, so I would be happy too, Chad. I'm happy you came up here and chatted with me in the booth before you head out here. Thank you again, and I look forward to seeing you next week at Iowa.
Yeah, thanks, bud.
Absolutely. You have a great night. All right, folks, and that was Chad Simpson in the 42 machine taking home second place, but last, but certainly not least, Nate Siefker taking home the win for the Finger Lakes Grand Prix. Nate, sir, do you have a read?
Yeah, I do.
Nate, what a race. Nate, you were leading practically the majority of this race. There was a couple laps, I think it was after the second pit stop, that you found yourself a little bit kind of down the field, and then again right towards the end of the race because you had that last kind of last minute pit stop. Nate, I gotta ask you, what was your strategy coming into tonight, and did it play out the way that you expected it to?
Drive fast, and yes. That's a two quick, easy answers to that. Yeah, I mean, it was really, I knew I got robbed and qualified. I got taken out that first hot lap, and then I couldn't do anything else. So third was about the best I was going to do. So I knew the start had to get the lead out of T1 with those two starting on the blacks, and did that. And then just managing the race from there. I let Rick run in front of me there just to make sure I hit that fuel number that first stop. But I thought Butch was going to go long, and he was going to do that one last stop, but I wasn't planning on Chad. So when Chad stayed out there, I realized it once I came out that Chad was going to stay out the rest of those 4 laps. So I knew I had to make the move, but I had like 7 or 8 push to passes. I wasn't going to, use them in terrible spots and put us in a bad spot. So that's why it took me a little time to work that move properly, just to try to make it clean for both of us, because I didn't want to take us out. He wanted to keep second, I'm sure. So I played the smart game there at the end. Just made the move when I could, because I knew the fresh reds were way better than the blacks, and just went from there.
Absolutely. Now I gotta ask you again here too as well. You had almost 30 seconds of a gap between yourself and I believe Rick Ravon in the 7 machine for quite some time. What was? Did you have a lot of practice coming in tonight before the race, or are you just extremely comfortable here at the Glen? What kind of led to your success ultimately here tonight?
Not a lap of practice until tonight's session. And I mean, I'm pretty confident with the car. Watkins Glen's a good track for me. So I wasn't really too concerned per se on tonight. It was just basically get in the car, do a quick tire stint, make sure the tires worked the way I thought they would, which they did, and then just go from there. So, I mean, really, it was pretty easy once we got stuck in. Just hit the same line every lap, you'll be fine, especially with the new rescan. It used to be with the older rescan, it wasn't that way. You had the weird bumps every now and then that would throw you out and spin you out. But with the new rescan here, it helps a lot with the track's more consistent, it's smoother. And it makes the race go a little bit more predictable, especially when you're trying to set a certain lap time every lap. So, yeah, pretty predictable. Kind of went how I thought it would. Maybe I didn't think I'd get to that big of a lead per se, but I'm kind of surprised that only 2 people did the Butch and Chad strategy, and I'm kind of surprised that Rick and those guys weren't able to keep touch with me a little bit better.
Yeah, honestly, here in the booth, I was half expecting you guys to kind of get a little bit closer to one another and have a little bit more of a heated battle towards the end, but seems like you were able to keep it out in front and take home the win. But Nate, I want to thank you for coming up here and chat with me in the booth before you head out here tonight, and congratulate you on taking home the win for the Finger Lakes Grand Prix. Before I let you go, though, and head out tonight and celebrate, is there anyone at home, anyone watching the broadcast that you want to shout out or thank before you go?
Yeah, I got to first off want to thank our league partners, EatonC.com and SimMotion. Those 2 great organizations came on board with us. SimMotion since last season, and EatonC as our title sponsor for this season. A great group of individuals helping us out here at Sim Racers Edge. I want to thank my sponsor, my personal sponsor, Midwest Kitty Warriors, for being on the car for this season. We got some special paints lined up. I think the first race for my special paint will be actually next week, I think, if it's scheduled correctly. I think it is. So that'll be fun to run those colors. And then I got some fans at home. So thank you to everyone that tuned in to watch me, I suppose.
Absolutely. Well, Nate, congratulations on your win here tonight, and congratulations on back-to-back wins here, taking home the win here tonight for the Finger Lakes Grand Prix, as well as last week for the Music City 175. Nate, thank you for coming up here and chat with me, and I look forward to seeing you next week at Iowa.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. You have a great night.
You too.
All right, folks, Nate Siefker taking home the win in the number 2 machine. That is going to conclude round number 3 of the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series, the Finger Lakes Grand Prix, presented by ecency.com. My name is Mason Heimbaugh, in here in the booth with Team Goon Squad, bringing you the action. I hope you all have enjoyed. If you did, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already, to stay tuned with all the action that we have here on Team Goon Squad 7 days a week. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.